For 24 years, Archie Comics has been the sole publisher of Sonic the Hedgehog comics in North America. That came to an end in 2017 when, at the time of San Diego Comic-Con, it was announced that Sega and Archie decided to part ways. It seemed like the end until it was announced days later that Sega's teamed up with IDW Publishing to produce a new Sonic comic series, which brings us to today. Greetings everyone, and welcome to my review of IDW Sonic the Hedgehog Issue 1. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to be reviewing new Sonic comics once again, on a regular basis. That being said, this comic series has a lot of hype surrounding it, with numerous previews, announcements of returning talent, and interviews about its direction. Will it live up to this hype? We'll see. Some things to note before I get started. First, if you're new to this channel, welcome, and I hope you enjoy what you see. Second, since the comic just came out, spoiler levels are at an all-time high. If you want to wait until you read the comic yourself, I recommend exiting this video now and coming back later to hear my thoughts on it. Although technically issue 1 spoilers have been out for a couple of weeks thanks to IDW having early copies at WonderCon. Still, better safe than sorry. Anyway, let's dive right in. The issue begins with a brief narration highlighting Sonic's many battles against Dr. Eggman, including the Egg Viper from Sonic Adventure, the Egg Emperor from Sonic Heroes, although technically that was Metal Sonic disguised as Eggman, but whatever, the Egg Dragoon from Sonic Unleashed, or Sonic Generations, or Sonic Forces, take your pick, and finally the Death Egg Robot. Not that one, the one from Sonic Forces. Right out of the gate, we've got game references, people. The narration goes on to explain that while Eggman vanished after the last battle, his robot army did not. Which brings us to Sonic heading towards a town to help out the locals against a robot attack. There are those in the town that are trying to fight the robots like the Hammer Guy here, but you can't hesitate against the likes of Egg Pawns. Don't worry, Hammer Guy, Sonic will show you how it's done. In addition to Egg Pawns, Sonic comes across the classic Motobugs and the Egg Hammers, 4 of them to be precise. While Sonic can easily evade these guys and joke about it in the process, defeating them is another story. Enter Tails. Now seriously, he just appears and carries Sonic to safety. Now that he's here, things begin to turn around as the two use various team-up attacks to defeat the Egg Hammers, including the Sonic 4 Episode 2 double spin attack and tossing each other at them like projectiles. The remaining badniks are retreating. That's good, right? Nope. Our heroes are in a no-prisoners mood today. That and they don't want those badniks terrorizing another town. Sonic deals with the last Egg Hammer and Tails closes the gate in front of the badniks and let physics do the rest. Tails notes this attack was more coordinated compared to what they've seen lately. With Eggman gone, these badniks were just wandering aimlessly until today. The presence of Egg Hammers adds to the speculation that someone is giving them orders again. Naturally, the number one suspect is Eggman. However, if he did return, there would be more fanfare. Whoever's responsible, the fact remains. Badniks are attacking people once again, and Sonic will smash every one of them. Tails is worried something may happen to Sonic, so Sonic invites him to come along just like the old days. Tails is excited until he sees the damaged town and decides, you know what, I'd rather help the locals rebuild this town. You can find the badniks faster by yourself. Besides, I'll just get in the way of the next returning character next issue. Sonic leaves, unaware that someone's watching him through a flapper badnik. The town attack was indeed a test for Sonic, and the mastermind plans to send a battalion to the next town in an attempt to get rid of not only Sonic, but Amy Rose of the Resistance. The issue had the task of establishing the tone and direction for this series. It's heavily implied that it takes place after the events of Sonic Forces. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing is up to you. Or you could rewrite it in your head that it was a plot similar to Sonic Forces, so people who hate the game don't have to think about elements like, say, Tails being a wuss for a time. I'll get to Tails in this issue in a bit. The tone is what you expect for Sonic the Hedgehog. There's action mixed in with some humorous elements, like Sonic taking a moment to quietly say, "What's up?" at a couple of civilians before smashing more robots, and said civilians' reactions to it. I do like that there are ordinary people willing to take arms against the badniks, but sometimes a little help is appreciated. Speaking of help, Tails just appears to help Sonic. A nod to how he randomly pops up in the games if left behind, perhaps? Anywho, he's willing to fight with his buddy against the badniks to save the town while taking jabs here and there. I mean, look at this. Tails' expression to Sonic's hurry up line is the best. It says, "Hey, it's not like I'm racing against you for a Chaos Emerald, or I need to stop a whale from flinging you off or something. It's just easily destructible robots this time." Despite this, we are reminded that these two are best friends. Tails is worried something may happen to Sonic, and Sonic invites Tails to join him. Tails' worrying for Sonic may be a callback to when Sonic was captured for a time in the Sonic Forces game, and Tails misses him. Whether or not this version of Tails became a weenie for a bit is never elaborated on, but the fact that Tails would rather help these people rebuild than travel with Sonic to me implies he's braver than the Tails and Sonic Forces. There is a mystery going on that will continue throughout the next few books. Who is the mastermind behind the badnik attacks? The obvious answer should be Eggman, but look closely at the word bubbles. They have a purple outline as opposed to a normal black one. Either Eggman became calm and collected due to him drinking grape juice earlier that morning, or someone else is calling the shots. So who could it be? Metal Sonic, Infinite, Orbot Cubot, some new random character? We'll have to see. As I've said in my intro section, we have returning talent, specifically from the IDW Sonic Comics, most notably writer Ian Flynn, artist Tracy Yardley, and colorist Matt Herms. In a way, it makes sense. The first two were responsible for bringing the fun back into the IDW Sonic Comics in issue 160 after a dark and dull period, and while Herms joined in later, his coloring helped elevate those books further. Normally, this is the part where I'd give my numerical score, but since this is a new book with a new continuity, I'm not going to do that for the IDW series. Instead, I'll just give my final thoughts. IDW Sonic Issue 1 is great for Sonic fans who want to start reading the comics without the baggage of the IDW Sonic comics, fans of the IDW Sonic comics that are happy to see, well, Sonic comics again, or the casual gamer in general. Now, there will be some that won't give the book a chance for a number of reasons, and since this is the Sonic fan base, those reasons can vary. But for many, myself included, it's great to see Sonic in comic form again. This is helped by having people who've worked for years on Sonic comic related stories. I do recommend picking this up, either physically or digitally. Next time, we have Sonic traveling to another town to stop badniks with Amy's help, which will come out soon because, if you haven't heard, every Wednesday in April, IDW will release a new issue of Sonic. I'm letting you know right now, while I do plan to pick up issue 2 on the 11th, the review may take a while due to personal reasons I cannot get into, but I will try to get it out before issue 3's release on the 18th. Until the next review, have a good day and be safe. Greetings everyone, welcome to my review of IDW Sonic the Hedgehog issue 2. Before we get started, let's briefly recap the story so far. While Eggman suffered a massive defeat, his badniks are still running amok. Sonic, with the help of Tails, destroyed the ones messing with a nearby town. Tails theorized that someone's giving the badniks orders due to this attack being a more organized effort. This theory is proven correct as the mastermind observes Sonic leaving the town and plans on setting up a bigger attack not only to draw in the Blue Hedgehog, but Amy Rose of the Resistance. I should remind everyone that spoilers are once again at maximum level. Right away, Sonic's dealing with a death crab heading towards the next town. Don't worry, ordinary townsfolk, he's taking care of the big bot. Sort of. Enter Amy Rose to make sure it stays down. She's here because she got word of what happened with Sonic and Tails last issue and hoped to find our blue hero in the very next town. She has an agenda, you know. I mean, she's not here to make goo-goo eyes at Sonic. Well, sort of. She wants Sonic to come back to the Resistance. They're having trouble with cleanup due to underestimating the size of Eggman's empire and the amount of badniks running around. And Amy hopes Sonic can help. Sonic joining a group trying to fight for freedom against the forces of Eggman's world empire? in another life, Sonic may have accepted the offer. But not here. He's doing his own investigation on why the Badniks are more organized lately, and he notes it's not a coincidence that he and Amy are right here within range of a super Badnik. Well, it seems the Death Crab was a distraction. A large invasion force is approaching the town. Sonic begins whittling down the numbers while Amy coordinates with the local militia. Good thing too, because as Amy said earlier, Sonic's getting sloppy. Don't worry, Sonic. The locals will take care of the stragglers with their Wispins. But that was only the first wave. Sonic and Amy go to find out where they're coming from. As they smash Badniks left and right, Amy tries again to convince Sonic to rejoin the Resistance. Sonic's answer is still no. He's going to do things his way. Not even doing it for his friends will change his mind. Chili Dogs, on the other hand, on a more serious note, the two locate the Blowfish transporter carrying the Badniks. Their answer to this menace? Amy whacking a spin-dashing Sonic straight towards the transport, destroying it in one hit. With the threat gone, it's time for the mostly fine Sonic to move on. Amy realizes he's right. Sonic's a free spirit. She does not want to change him because that's the person she fell in love with. I'm sure Sonic's thrilled to hear that. Sonic then offers Amy to tag along, but she's committed to the Resistance. She does point Sonic in the direction of the next issue, town, where Knuckles awaits. The issue ends with the Mastermind frustrated with not only Sonic and Amy surviving the attack, Sonic's deviating from the path. That is, until Orbot points out where Sonic's going with a picture of two new comic characters. The issue continues to build upon elements established in Sonic Forces. Note that I said elements. We don't know how much of Sonic Forces played out exactly like the games in this comic. We do know the Resistance exists in this universe. Well, we've known since as far back as issue 2's Solicitation, and Knuckles is indeed the commander. Thing is, in Sonic Forces, the Resistance disbanded after Eggman's defeat. Here, they're still very much active. Their goal at the moment is to clean up the world after Eggman's defeat. As I pointed out earlier, it's harder than it sounds. Hence, Amy hoping Sonic would come back, only to refuse the offer. There are advantages to both joining the Resistance and doing the solo hero gig. Hanging out with the Resistance means having a safe place to rest, coordinate on key targets, and most importantly, have some help in tough situations. You'd think Sonic would learn by now. Sonic remaining solo, at least for right now, allows him to follow his own leads and get to the source of the problem at his own pace, i.e. very fast, without anyone telling him what to do. Either way, he gets to smash Badniks and save people. So why not have the best of both worlds? Sonic could do the hero thing while having some sort of communication link to the Resistance. That way, if things get too tough, they can call on him for help and vice versa. It's just my opinion. We are reintroduced to Amy, and unlike how Tails randomly appeared last issue, this was a deliberate setup by the Mastermind to get rid of not only Sonic, but her as well, as I've also noted. We see why as her trademark Pico Pico hammer makes short work of the Badniks, but also, she's the one organizing the activities of the Resistance. She demonstrates this skill by quickly organizing the town militia against the Badniks. No wonder the Mastermind wants Amy out of the picture. Speaking of which, we can rule out Orbot and Cubot. Strange that Orbot's calling the Mastermind boss, as if it was Eggman. I'm not ruling Eggman out as a candidate. He could have taken meds to reduce the stress after his latest defeat, or the Mastermind could have reprogrammed Orbot and Cubot to serve, well, whoever this is. Back over to Sonic and Amy. Their dynamic is one of the highlights of this issue. Some may not like Sonic's put-offish attitude towards Amy at times, and this is nothing new to the character.
See, this little birdie's got in trouble. I think you should be his bodyguard a little while.
What?
Doesn't matter. We'll just tag along.
No way!
Come on, don't run away! Oh!
But when things get serious, he respects her enough to follow her ideas. Still won't be enough for Sonic to reciprocate your love, Amy.
I thought I had you this time.
The art for this issue, by that I mean pencils and coloring, is done by another artist alum from the IDW Sonic Comics, Adam Bryce Thomas. If the name and or art here looks familiar, he worked on the Sonic Forces 4-part prequel comic, along with writer Ian Flynn. I don't know about you, but I could see these linking up with the IDW series. There's no contradiction as far as I can tell. Also, I like how he drew the townfolk. Issue 2 continues its world building while playing up the mystery of the Mastermind's attacks. It also continues another theme we have. While Sonic may fly solo, it never hurts to have help every once in a while. This'll carry over to our next issue in which Knuckles will appear. And Sonic will need all the help he can get if the villain's assessment of these guys is any indication. I'll talk more about them when I review issue 3 later this month. Greetings everyone, welcome to my review of IDW Sonic Issue 3. As you can see, we're about to be reintroduced to the Rad Red himself, Knuckles the Echidna. But before we do, let's recap the events of last issue. Sonic met up with Amy during a Badnik attack, which was an attempt by the mysterious Mastermind to get rid of them both. Our heroes were triumphant, all while Amy tried in vain to have Sonic rejoin the Resistance. She did point Sonic towards Knuckles' current location, a town that has these two individuals. Now as always, spoiler alert, Sonic reaches the town just as Knuckles pounds into a Death Egg robot sentinel. So, these things were supposed to be a threat, huh? The two meet up and you had to say the line, Knuckles.
Long time no see.
He's here because Wispin's shipments have stopped coming from this town, which is a hub for distribution. The Lookout's under orders not to let anyone in the town. Unfortunately for the Lookout, these are two individuals who don't give a flying flip. The townsfolk scurry towards their homes, and Sonic thinks the Badniks really shook these people. Lookout Guy informs Sonic and Knuckles about the real reason that people are scared. Two mercenaries arrive near the end of the war to save the town from Badniks, only for them to take the town's arsenal and imprison everyone in their own town. The townsfolk have to do everything the mercenaries say, and leaving's out of the question due to the Badniks outside. After being told the mercenaries' location, a converted supply depot, Sonic and Knuckles head off. Inside, they find a stockpile of wisps. Knuckles says the Wisps volunteered their services to help everyone during the fight against Eggman, which kinda makes this image of them being stockpiled like this sad. Soon we see the two responsible as they harass the townsfolk. Let's see, I see two girls fanning them. One of them is being used as a footstool. Another one is serving cupcakes. And finally, some guy in a jester hat with spilt drinks. Okay, Sonic and Knuckles, time to be heroes. The mercenaries introduce themselves as Ruff, the short one, and Tumble, the big one, in a very Team Rocket-esque way. Well, they did gather a bunch of small critters to be used as weapons. Anyway, the fight begins with Knuckles taking on the agile Ruff and Sonic the strong Tumble. Things aren't going well at first for our heroes. Sonic's tossed like a basketball, and Knuckles has lost some dignity. Ruff, you really had to use the skunk spray, didn't ya? The heroes eventually rebound, literally in Sonic's case. The Skunk Brothers are done playing around and break out the Wispins. Knuckles wants Sonic to do the same, but the Hedgehog has a better idea. He appeals to the Wisps, stating how he saved their planet, and a number of them stuck around to help him in the Lost Hex and the Resistance against Eggman. They don't need to help Ruff and Tumble bully these people. It works, and all the Wisps leave the Wispins. Without the means to bully the town, Ruff and Tumble are defeated. The citizens free the Wisps, and the aliens decide to continue helping them defend the town via the Wispins. Before being led away, Ruff and Tumble swear vengeance against Sonic and Knuckles. In your dreams, guys. Knuckles thanks Sonic and hopes that with things winding down, he can return to Angel Island. Sonic himself would like a vacation, but there's still the mystery of the organized Badniks he needs to solve. But for the moment, he's going to party with the town. The Mastermind observes this, noting that without Knuckles on Angel Island, the Master Emerald is ripe for the taking. Uh-oh. Creating original characters to fulfill story purposes can be tricky, especially if there are game characters that can fulfill the same role. For example, Sonic name-dropped the Hooligans. The Hooligans were a group of mercenaries made up of obscure game characters Fang the Sniper, Bean the Dynamite, and Bark the Polar Bear. They first formed in the IDW Sonic Comics. I don't know if it was meant to be an Easter egg, but if they do exist in this universe, I could see them do this sort of thing. So why have Rough and Tumble in the first place? After all, they appeared as thugs that really need a good dose of clear eyes. For story purposes, they serve as a counterpoint to Sonic and Knuckles. They came during a time when the people were suffering constant Eggman attacks. They saved the town, but took it over themselves. Sonic and Knuckles arrive when the people feared punishment from Rough and Tumble, only to defeat the mercenaries and actually free the town. It helps that Knuckles trashed the badniks outside earlier. Rough and Tumble, while agile and strong respectively, used fear tactics and the Whip-Spin arsenal to keep the populace in line. The arrival of Sonic and Knuckles brought hope back to this place. A perfect example is the Lookout Guy's behavior. He's reluctant to share information to Sonic and Knuckles at first, but as he explains the situation, you'll notice he's becoming confident in his speech, and after sending them towards the supply depot, his words seem to have hope again. Likewise, Sonic points out the bravery of the Wisp to aid those in need and not to work for those who uses fear against the people. This robbed Rough and Tumble of their true power. As I said, while the mercenaries are agile and strong, Sonic and Knuckles are much better at being those naturally. That and the latter two are game characters. Speaking of Knuckles, he's not good at dealing with the aftermath of the war. He'd rather go back to his old life on Angel Island. So why not hand off leadership to Amy and get going? My guess is people looked up to Knuckles almost as much as Sonic, and him bailing now may not be a good move for the moment. Though as noted, Angel Island, and most importantly, the Master Emerald, is vulnerable. Something tells me this plot point won't get resolved next issue, along with the revelation of the Mastermind's identity. The reason is, as of this video's release, issue 7's solicitation had just came out, and it hinted at secrets and revelations about the comic's first major villain, possibly the Mastermind, which means Eggman may not be a candidate after all. I could be wrong though, but something to think about. It seems odd Sonic would stay to party in this town while he left the previous two after solving their problems, especially since he still has the organized badnik issue to solve. Well, Sonic needs a breather every once in a while. Plus, unlike the previous two towns, this one's well defended on the outside. It makes sense being a major hub for Whip-Spin distribution. The town itself came out relatively unscathed. The fight between the heroes and the mercenaries was confined to one building, and Knuckles already dealt with the badniks by the time Sonic arrived. While it seemed jerkish for Sonic to up and leave the previous two towns after suffering collateral damage, it does show Sonic having faith in both Tails and Amy, that they can help the populace of those towns. The art in this issue is done by Jennifer Hernandez, another artist who worked on the IDW Sonic Comics, most notably the Waves of Change storyline. Her work, combined with that of colorist Heather Breckel, gives the book a lighter feel compared to Adam's art in the previous issue. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy artists bring their own style to the comics. The thing is, some readers might feel that the different art styles may be a bit jarring. One more thing to note is, if you follow Jennifer on any social media, especially Twitter, she posts a series of drawings involving her original characters, usually paired with a game character. I say this because she manages to use her original characters as actual background characters. That's pretty awesome. To wrap this up, issue 3 shows us that there are those out there willing to prey on the desperate, and that bravery can come from anywhere. Plus, it explains why some Wisps stuck around after the events of Sonic Colors. Will Rough and Tumble reappear in the future? Who's to say? It may depend on how people feel about them. Speaking of comic exclusive characters, issue 4 will see the debut of the first heroic character not from the games, along with the appearance of Blaze the Cat, which we'll take a look at next time. Greetings everyone, welcome to issue 4 of the IDW Sonic Comics and the final issue of the series' month-long debut. I'll get into that later. For now, let's recap what Sonic's been up to last time. Sonic met up with Knuckles at a town not threatened by badniks, but mercenaries that stole all the Whip-Spins for themselves. Once robbed of their advantage, Sonic and Knuckles defeated them. They stuck around to party before Sonic heads back out, and Knuckles wraps up his resistance duties before returning to Angel Island. Unfortunately, the Mastermind has designs on said island and the Master Emerald. Spoilers are in effect, and I can tell you now, the Mastermind is not in this issue. Sonic spots another town under siege by a very large badnik force, this time coming from a giant buzz bomber. In a nice callback to issue 2, Sonic wonders if he can defeat all of them by himself, and would have benefited by having help from the Resistance. On the other hand, Sonic may not have known about the attack if the Resistance didn't get wind of it. Anyway, he's about to get to work when someone's already reducing egg pawns to scrap. Say hello to Tango the Lemur. You can see she lives up to her name as she uses her tail to make robots go boom. Sonic comes to her aid, and after some introductions, it's time to add to the junk pile. The badniks are done playing around. They bring out the giant Motobugs. One of them is even used as a tank. I wonder if it's a nod to that one Sonic Generations mission. I believe it's time for the guest game character to enter the party. And what an entrance she makes. Hello, Blaze. I see I'm not the only one excited by her arrival. Sonic and Blaze leap into action while Tango's awestruck. I assume that's awestruck and not the what the heck is going on face, though I wouldn't rule it out. Tango pulls herself together and uses her tail to get rid of the giant Motobugs. It's still not enough. The giant buzz bomber is still raining down replacement badniks, so it's got to go. Problem is, it's too high for Sonic and Blaze. Don't worry, Tango has the perfect solution. Using her tail as a slingshot, Tango launches Sonic and Blaze towards the Buzz Bomber. Blaze gives Sonic an extra boost so he can get inside to cause some mayhem. After it's softened up, Blaze uses a fire Kamehameha wave to finish the job. Don't worry, Sonic once again survives the destruction of an airship. For the most part. That can't be good for him. Sonic introduces Tango to Blaze, and we get confirmation in this continuity that she is a princess from another dimension that guards the Soul Emeralds, in case some of you are wondering if she's from the future a la Sonic 06. Thankfully, it doesn't apply here. Speaking of the Soul Emeralds, they sent Blaze to Sonic's world because of an upcoming terrible event. Sonic jokes, sort of, that the Emeralds' timing is a bit off. They just had a war, and we get confirmation on another element of Sonic forces. Sonic was captured for a time before his friends freed him. Tango suggests that the war was possibly a prelude to something else coming along. Something worse. Whatever the reason, Blaze plans on sticking around until the Soul Emeralds task is done. For the moment, Blaze is sticking around Tango's town to help put out the fires. Before Sonic heads out, he says to himself, "I need a breather." Get it? As I said earlier, the mastermind is not in this issue. However, the issue ends with a teaser into the next one as, in another town, somebody's observing the locals. That somebody is Dr. Eggman himself. I admit, the plot from a general perspective is a cut and paste of previous issues. Sonic arrives at a town under badnik siege, a game character arrives to assist, they solve the source of the problem, and finally the game character stays to clean up while Sonic moves on. So let's focus more on the unique elements of this issue. Tango the Lemur, our first heroic comic exclusive character. We didn't get to see much of her personality wise, but I do admire her willingness to help her town fend off badniks with her prehensile tail. Hey, if you have a gift like that, why not put it to good use? I wouldn't mind a character like this in the games. As far as I know, there hasn't been a Sonic character that uses their tail as a whip. I said as a whip, and don't tell me it won't work. Game characters like Shantae and Dixie Kong prove it's possible. Granted, it's hair instead of a tail, but the general idea applies here. And I'm getting a bit off topic. As I said last time, when you create original characters, they have to have a specific purpose. While Tango doesn't exactly need to be here, she helps flesh out the new Sonic continuity. Plus, she doesn't hog the spotlight too much as new characters would often do. She does what she can to help our two game characters, and plays a key part in taking down the giant buzz bomber, allowing Sonic and Blaze to do the actual deed. I don't know about you, but it's great to see Blaze again. I mean, look how awesome she is. Her reason for being here, while giving us a chance to see her in the future, might be related to the Mastermind. Remember, the last time we saw whoever it is, it was eyeballing the Master Emerald. As any Sonic fan knows, Master Emerald plus potential Doomsday weapon equals trouble. That's what I think anyway. At least we're 99.9% sure the mastermind is not Dr. Eggman. He's about to cause mischief elsewhere. The artist for this issue is Evan Stanley, and if you're wondering, yes, she's another Archie Sonic alumni. One of the great things about her art, as well as the art of the previous issues, involves the facial expressions. From Tangle's "What's going on" face to Blaze's "Are you sure about this" face, and finally Sonic's "Oh, I'm going to have fun with this" face. I admit, her Sonic looks a bit off at times, probably due to him being drawn at certain angles, but otherwise it looks great combined with Matt Herm's coloring. Part of it is because Evan does a fan comic on the side called Ghosts of the Future, which is posted on her DeviantArt page, so she's had a bit of practice. Overall, issue 4, while repeating some bullet points, offers some creative things like the giant classic Badniks. It mostly keeps a balance between the 3 primary characters and sets up potential future plots. And I wouldn't mind if Tangle appears in the future. So we've come to the end of our month-long introduction to IDW Sonic the Hedgehog. It's been nice setting up this new continuity and seeing some of the old gang in action. For those wondering if this book will succeed, I can safely say, for now, that's a yes. At the time of this video's creation, issue 1 not only has sold out its first printing, but its second, with a third on the way. And issues 2 and 3 are about to have a second printing of their own. Reviews about the books are overwhelmingly positive, and from what I've seen online, it's attracting readers who have never picked up a Sonic comic before. If you haven't had a chance to pick up the issues, I highly recommend doing so. You could go for Tyson Hayes' A covers, which form a connecting picture, or the B covers done by the artists of their respective issues. There are other cover options, but they can be harder to find and a bit pricey. Now that we'll be entering the monthly releases, coming up in May, we'll take a look at issue 5 featuring the return of Dr. Eggman. Welcome back everyone to the world of IDW Sonic the Hedgehog. It's been a while, hasn't it? And things happened between my review of issue 4 and today's. First of all, said issue has sold out its first printing as well, so it's also getting a second one. And second, sales for the book have done very well, with issue 1 selling about 22,000 copies, and issues 2 through 4 about 13,000 copies each. I'll put a link to the article where I got this information. Anyway, today we're tackling issue 5, the first part that finally brings the main villain of the franchise into the book, unless you count the last page of issue 4. For those who are just joining us or need a recap, here's what's going on so far. The past 4 issues had Sonic and a fellow game character stop a Badnik attack on a town, though in one case it's to free a town from mercenaries. An ongoing mystery running throughout these issues is who is responsible for reorganizing the Badniks into a credible threat again. We, the audience, are given glimpses at this mysterious mastermind behind the attacks, and I can go ahead and tell you, as of this issue, spoilers from this point forward, the identity is still a mystery. Sonic thinks it might be Eggman after all this time, despite the lack of fanfare, and as you saw earlier, the Doctor is hiding in a town. Let's see what he's up to. The issue begins with Sonic and SBO finding Anton and Hoverby Badniks on a stony, corkscrewy path. After dealing with this minor nuisance, it's time to get down to business. Sonic believes Eggman's up to something again with the way the Badniks are organized. However, SBO has found something that contradicts this statement. See, Sonic enlisted the aid of the Chaotix to help with his investigation, and the detective trio have searched throughout various bases with no trace of the Doctor. Though they did find various robots and hazards, and at one point, Orbot and Cubot. They revealed nothing, by the way. Their trail seemed to grow cold until the Chaotix received an anonymous tip that took them to a village. The same village SBO is leading Sonic to at this moment. Everything looks fine when the two arrive. The children gather around Sonic, of course, and Charmy happily pulls Eggman out from a building. Wait, what? Yeah, Eggman here is not in his usual attire and calls himself Mr. Tinker. Sonic's not buying it for a second. He lists off previous game events, but Mr. Tinker, yeah, I'll call him that for the moment, doesn't remember any of it. As Mr. Tinker is sent on his way, the Chaotix explain that they spent days observing and interrogating him thoroughly. As far as they can tell, Mr. Tinker doesn't remember anything. Sonic wonders how one could go from threatening the world and the space-time continuum him repeatedly to someone who fixes wagons for children. The village leader appears to share what he knows. They found him near the village. Note the familiar looking red cubes near his body. They held him prisoner until he broke out, only to try to improve the prison door. After numerous tests of their own, they determined that Mr. Tinker isn't dangerous and they welcome him into the village. Since then, he's been a boon to them, fixing all things small and large. The leader only knows Eggman through reputation, but after seeing all the good Mr. Tinker's done, he hopes Sonic would grant him mercy. This is a conundrum. Should Sonic bring in Mr. Tinker for his crimes committed as Eggman, or let him live his life in peace helping this village? Thankfully, there is one thing Sonic is sure about. When Badniks approach, it's time to smash. The Chaotix head off to stop the approaching Badniks while Sonic confronts Mr. Tinker, only to find him building a makeshift barricade out of tables for the kids. Sonic leaves them be and joins the Chaotix in stopping the Badniks. Charmy spots a nearby Flapper Badnik and destroys it, but it turns out it was the unit used by the Mastermind to observe the Badnik attacks, and it's not happy Sonic and the Chaotix were present. With the Badniks dealt with, Sonic makes peace with Mr. Tinker. All's well that ends well, I guess. Sonic and the Chaotix will continue their investigation. Mr. Tinker's going to replace all of the tables used for the barricade, and he says Sonic should come back when Eggman Land is complete. Wait, what? Eggman Land? The amusement park of doom from Sonic Unleashed? How would you know about it, Mr. Tinker? Before Sonic can process what he just heard, two more characters arrive, Shadow and Rouge. They're here, of course, for Eggman. Well, I didn't expect this outcome for Eggman, Mr. Tinker. Given what we saw at the end of the previous issue, I'd expect something more sinister, that he was hiding in an abandoned building making something for his grand return. Instead, we got a kind person that fixes wagons and watches. I didn't show this in the summary, but the comic implies two possibilities for Eggman's condition. First, Eggman never lost his memory and is fooling everyone as part of a scheme, which involves taking advantage of these kind villagers. Perhaps all the stuff he's tinkering with will start attacking them once he activates them with some sort of trigger. The image from issue 4 supports this idea. And then we have this panel here where he mentioned Eggman Land, indicating he might have slipped up when he thought he fooled even Sonic. Then there's the second option. Eggman really did lose his memory and is now slowly regaining it at the end of this issue. If you recall, there were tiny cubes near Eggman when he was found, indicating some Phantom Ruby shenanigans. Since a version of Sonic Forces happened in this comic, it could mean that after the battle in that null space dimension, Eggman was expelled with a case of amnesia. He retained his building skills and used them to help the people. He may be regaining his memory upon seeing and hearing Sonic. I'm sure that name was brought up when the villagers and the Chaotix were testing him, and it's actually seeing and hearing Sonic that triggers something in Mr. Tinker. Note that he brought up Eggman Land only after Sonic introduces himself as Sonic the Hedgehog, as if those were the magic words. There are other ideas about Eggman people can speculate about. For example, that Eggman's an illusion, with those red cubes being a clue. Or a more ridiculous idea of Eggman being split into two, the friendly goofy Mr. Tinker and the dark menacing Mastermind, which would explain why Orbot follows him without question. Speaking of the Mastermind, as I stated earlier, we still learn nothing of who or what it is. It did get upset about Sonic and the Chaotix being in the area and was afraid they know its identity. That's the one thing I'm worried about, dragging the mystery of this leader. Maybe at this point you could start revealing part of a silhouette so we can start putting things together. The heroes show competence in dealing with the Mr. Tinker situation. Despite what you might think, the Chaotix, well, at least 2/3 of them, take their job seriously, questioning and observing Mr. Tinker thoroughly to check for signs of Eggman. Sonic did recruit them to help in his investigation after all. The Hedgehog himself is no slouch when doubting Mr. Tinker, and when the village leader shares his story, it puts pressure on our hero. Bring in Mr. Tinker or let him stay. Even at the end when Mr. Tinker mentions Eggman Land, Sonic has some doubts. And that's after he made peace with his enemy. And let's give the villagers some credit. They took precautions and did tests until they determined that Mr. Tinker was not a threat. Overall, the issue changed changes things up after the Sonic goes to a town, fights baddies, and leaves formula. Competence is shown on all fronts. There is acknowledgement of past game events, and showcases the great art we've come to expect from Tracy Yardley, Jim Ash, and Matt Herms, especially with regards to facial expressions, though your mileage may vary. So, Shadow and Rouge have come for Eggman. Probably got that same anonymous tip the Chaotix did. We'll see how complicated this will get next time. Greetings everyone, welcome to my review of IDW Sonic the Hedgehog issue 6. Before we begin, I'd like to mention something someone in the comments section of the previous video pointed out. The outfit Mr. Tinker is wearing is reminiscent of Eggman's pajamas from an early concept design, especially with the coloring, the collar, and the slippers. Thank you Jambastian for sharing this, and I encourage everyone to point out the more obscure references if I don't find them myself. Some of you who are joining us for the first time might be wondering, why am I calling Eggman Mr. Tinker? Well, let me explain. And spoilers from here on out. In the previous issue, Sonic enlisted the aid of the Chaotix to track down Eggman, still believing he was the reason the Badniks are organizing again. They found him in a village with no memory of his previous life, going by the moniker Mr. Tinker, due to him fixing things for said village. Don't worry, the villagers and the Chaotix thoroughly checked to see if he remembers anything. Sonic didn't buy it at first, until he witnessed Mr. Tinker's reaction during a Badnik attack. Sonic seemed cool with Mr. Tinker until Eggman Land was brought up, and wouldn't you know it, that's when Shadow and Rouge arrived. Yeah, Shadow and Rouge overheard the Eggman Land thing, and apparently Shadow wants to handle it the only way he knows how. Intimidation plus violence. Sonic mentioning the memory loss doesn't sway him. Sonic keeps blocking Shadow, and soon it gets to the point where the two are fighting each other again. In any time, any media, or any continuity, these two will always butt heads at some point. The Chaotix want to help Sonic, but change their minds after seeing how fast the combatants are fleeing the village. Hey, I'll give them props for wanting to help Sonic. It does free them to confront Rouge on bringing Shadow here. Shadow was already hunting down Eggman, and will hurt those in his way, including the Chaotix. So Rouge reveals that yes, she was the anonymous tipper, which gave the detectives enough time to investigate Mr. Tinker and bring Sonic to the village before she helped Shadow find him here. Back over to the Sonic and Shadow fight, which honestly looks more like a race. The Blue Hedgehog tries to tell the Ultimate Life Form, yeah, Eggman's done terrible things over the years, but he's done some good things like help prevent the Ark from destroying the world. Alright, Shadow does not want to be reminded of that. Well, what about the time the Black Arms invaded and Eggman held him off long enough for the heroes to win the day? While Shadow's not happy with that memory too, he's more upset that Sonic's suggesting leniency for Eggman after making Sonic suffer, and the multiple world domination attempts. Sonic turns it around on Shadow, that he almost destroyed him and tried to obliterate a planet. I'll talk more about this comparison in a bit. Sonic tells Shadow he'll leave Mr. Tinker in the village after figuring out what Eggman Land means. That's when Shadow realizes their latest kerfluffle was a distraction. He does a series of what I'm assuming are Chaos Control teleports back to the village. He confronts Mr. Tinker, who's hiding behind his makeshift barricade from last time, and demands to see this Eggman Land now. Mr. Tinker leads them to the barn, and we get our answer. Eggman Land is, or will be, a small amusement park for the kids, made up of what appears to be salvaged Badniks, or rides that look like Badniks. Yeah, that doesn't look ominous at all. With that, Shadow and Rouge leave. Rouge even lets the Chaotix take credit for this gig. That's nice of her. Mr. Tinker explains the idea for Eggman Land just came to him, which to Sonic might mean at some point his memory could return. Still, Sonic and Mr. Tinker say their goodbyes, and the Hedgehog will make repeated visits from time to time. Meanwhile, the Mastermind's ready to make his next move. I've already said spoilers earlier, but this is a biggie. We're about to finally see who this Mastermind really is. You ready? The Mastermind we've been following since issue 1 is Dr. Eggman. Wait, what? Okay, this probably threw everyone for a loop when they saw this image at the end. I admit, it caught me off guard as well, at first. After thinking about it some more, I have some theories. First, Mastermind Eggman is the real Eggman, and Mr. Tinker is a fake. Remember, Mr. Tinker had phantom ruby cubes around him when he first popped into the village, and these are usually associated with illusions. If that's the case, then what was the point of keeping the mastermind hidden for the past few issues? And was Mr. Tinker there to throw everyone off the scent? Likewise, could Mastermind Eggman be the illusion and Mr. Tinker the real Eggman with amnesia? And this is actually the work of another villain in the shadows? Possibly. Second, and this is related to a comment I said last issue, Eggman has been split into two, Mastermind Eggman and the kind Mr. Tinker. Yeah, that's a bit doubtful. Third, and the more likely option, Mr. Tinker is the real Eggman with amnesia, and Mastermind Eggman is another villain in disguise. Two villains in the games have pulled this trick for their own ends, Metal Sonic in Sonic Heroes, and Eggman Nega in the Sonic Rival series. There are hints to being one or the other. For Metal Sonic, the word bubbles from the past Mastermind appearances have a bluish-purplish tint, and in this issue, he's rendezvousing with the Egg Fleet. What did Metal Sonic use to try and take over the world in Sonic Heroes? For Eggman Nega, there's Blaze. If you go back to the events of issue 4, she's in Sonic's world because something very bad is about to happen, and Eggman Nega at times likes to push his plans far beyond what even Eggman would do. Now it could also be another villain assuming Eggman's form. What I'm saying is, don't take this ending at face value. Let's move on to Shadow and Rouge. They're here to continue the "we're introducing familiar Sega characters per issue" thing, though technically they showed up at the end of the previous issue, and to show some of their personality in this continuity. Shadow, as Rouge notes, is not one to hold back, especially in regards to Eggman. He could still be guilty of working with him. Sonic Adventure 2 was mentioned after all. It took Sonic reminding him about his own misdeeds to calm Shadow enough not to intimidate Mr. Tinker too much. And I'll expand upon this and Sonic soon. On a related note, Rouge knows about what Shadow may or may not do to Eggman and those in between, so she set things up to mitigate the conflict. It looked like it worked as Shadow leaves after being shown Mr. Tinker's Eggman land and left Mr. Tinker be. The point is, she's thinking long term on how to handle the situation with regards to Shadow. During the conflict with Shadow, Sonic's view of the Mr. Tinker situation is one of optimism. Despite Eggman's repeated world-conquering schemes, not to mention capturing him for a time, Sonic thinks he's been neutralized. Sort of. I admit, Sonic can be too optimistic at times. Comparing Shadow to Eggman, Shadow has done a few despicable acts, and a lot of them seem to be misguided, but it's nothing compared to Eggman. And remember, the events of Sonic Forces just recently happened, i.e. Eggman actually conquered the world. Not to mention both have/had a case of amnesia. If Shadow can regain his memory, so could Eggman. To be fair, Sonic will make frequent visits to make sure Mr. Tinker remains Mr. Tinker. And then we have the Chaotix, which, they're getting paid, I guess. To wrap this up, I enjoyed the issue in terms of world building and character interactions once again, not to mention the final page. Tracy Yardley's penciling is still great, but I admit it is off at a few places, though it could be Jim Amash's inks at times. I am not bothered by what little happened plot-wise because it's building up to something. I will be upset if the payoff is not satisfactory. For now, I'm going along for the ride. Next time, as the final page indicates, we may get answers to why there are two Eggmen. Will it involve what I said earlier, or something so ridiculous no one saw it coming? We'll find out when we look at issue 7. Welcome to another review of IDW Sonic the Hedgehog. Today we're taking a look at issue 7, and it's a doozy. Spoilers are at Omega level, so if you haven't read it yet, leave now and do so, and then you can come back and see my review. For everyone else, and that includes those who have read spoilers in various forms, let's get to it. After recapping the previous issue, Shadow and Rouge arrive to investigate Mr. Tinker, aka Dr. Eggman without his memory. We learn that Rouge arranged things so that the Chaotix would conduct their own investigation and bring in Sonic before the two arrive, due to Shadow taking things to the extreme. That was a big risk, my dear. What if Sonic took off before you two arrived? Well, it worked out. Once Mr. Tinker revealed what Eggman Land is, Shadow and Rouge leave without a fuss. For the most part. Sonic and the Chaotix also said their goodbyes to Mr. Tinker before continuing their search for the Mastermind. At the end, it's revealed to be another Eggman, and he's about to join the Egg Fleet. There is an answer for this, which I'll reveal soon. Sonic and Tails are flying towards one of the Sawfish airships. Tails speculates that the way the Egg Fleet's performing maneuvers lately, they must still be receiving orders from somewhere. He wants Sonic to board the airship and download as much data as possible. Sonic zips past the Egg Pond patrols and reaches the bridge where, coincidentally, he runs into Dr. Eggman.
I found you, faker.
No joke, he calls Dr. Eggman this, saying he just saw the real Eggman earlier and wants to know who he really is. The fake Eggman obliges and shapeshifts into Metal Sonic. I'm sorry, Neo Metal Sonic. I don't know if it'll transform back into that thing again. Anywho, Sonic recalls Neo Metal's role during the events of Sonic Heroes. Neo Metal reveals that Dr. Eggman upgraded it back to its Neo Metal form. I'm assuming recently, since it mentions it was supposed to join Eggman during the final battle involving the Sonic Forces Death Egg robot. But
You're too slow.
with Eggman missing, Neo Metal Sonic decided to continue normal Empire operations as if he was Eggman. He does have the Doctor's biodata along with his drive, intelligence, and so forth, but it'll gladly relinquish command back to Eggman once he's located, and thanks to Sonic, Neo Metal knows he's out there. In typical Sonic fashion, he attacks Neo Metal. That was a mistake, as now, Neo Metal has copied Sonic's biodata, and returns the favor. Sonic realizes he's outmatched and makes a run for it. Neo Metal Sonic orders all landing strip batteries to fire, and the egg pawns to capture Sonic alive. Yeah, it sounds like those orders contradict each other. It doesn't matter, Sonic easily takes care of them. It does allow Neo Metal Sonic to catch up and hold him by the throat over the edge. Neo Metal gives Sonic a choice: tell it where Eggman is, or face the fall. Sonic answers by quoting a lyric from a certain game and forces himself off the ship. Unlike that certain game, Sonic doesn't die today. Neo Metal Sonic orders the gun batteries to fire. Only Sonic's earlier stunt destroyed most of them. Neo Metal isn't concerned. It orders the airship to head towards the rendezvous point as planned. Meanwhile, at Resistance headquarters, Sonic fills everyone in on the situation. Unfortunately, he was unable to download any data before things got out of hand. The group's best chance now is to find out any of Eggman's old plans from his bases, hoping to find some clues. Hope you make some leeways, guys, because Neo Metal Sonic has rendezvoused with the Egg Fleet at Angel Island. Finally, the true identity of the Mastermind is revealed. But before we address it, the issue more or less confirms that Mr. Tinker is in fact the real Eggman. Whether he has amnesia or faking it as part of a larger scheme is something to speculate another day. For now, let's focus on the Mastermind, or rather, Neo Metal Sonic. This reveal may upset some people as they wanted the Mastermind to be someone else, like, say, Infinite. Others guessed it was Metal Sonic in some fashion since issue 1. The bluish colored word balloon was a big clue. I too speculated it was the robotic doppelganger, especially since issue 6's final page. As for why Eggman upgraded Metal Sonic back to its Neo Metal form despite what happened last time, assuming this happened during the events of Sonic Forces, Eggman wanted another powerful ally to cement his world takeover. It was just late to the party, and as Sonic pointed out, it would explain why the normal looking Metal Sonic was a Phantom Ruby copy, within the context of this comic's continuity. On the surface, it looks like we're treading familiar ground. Neo Metal Sonic's in charge of Eggman's empire, is using the Egg Fleet for its plans, can copy biodata as before, and can assume Eggman's form at will. The key difference is Eggman learned from the Sonic Heroes incident and removed the rebellious coding from Neo Metal Sonic. So even while having Eggman's biodata and running the empire in its stead, Neo Metal will turn over control to Eggman once found. It's only a matter of time. For now, it will continue its plan, which appears to be an invasion of Angel Island. Yeah, we're following up on that little nugget established back in issue 3. Whatever plans Neo Metal Sonic has for the island, and more importantly the Master Emerald, will hopefully be revealed in due time. Adam Bryce Thomas is on art duty for this issue, and to be honest, it's a mixed bag this time around. The backgrounds look gorgeous, and Neo Metal Sonic looks intimidating, but some of the character models look off. Sonic here, for example, looks like he ran face first into an iron, and Knuckles, that's not a good angle for him. I wonder if Adam was in a rush to finish this issue, because he has done far better work in the past. To wrap this up, issue 7 closes the door on the Mastermind subplot while setting up the next major story arc involving Angel Island, and given the previews, our heroes have their work cut out for them. We have one more issue before that arc begins, and it'll feature our familiar psychokinetic hedgehog from the future, along with the debut of a new comic exclusive character that was revealed at the latest San Diego Comic-Con. I'll talk more about her when I take a look at issue 8 next time. Welcome everyone to another IDW Sonic Comic review. Before we get to today's issue, I have to say, what could follow that doozy of the previous issue? Spoilers from here on out, of course. We finally learned the identity of the mysterious mastermind introduced in issue 1, and it's Metal Sonic, back in its Neo Metal form, and once again in charge of the Eggman Empire. Unlike the events of Sonic Heroes, Eggman made sure it remained loyal to him. Until Eggman is recovered, Neo Metal will follow its current plan, involving an invasion of Angel Island. Our heroes are unaware of this, so their best option at the moment is to raid old Eggman bases and use past plans as clues. Good luck. Sonic speeds along the interior of Eggman's Arsenal Pyramid base. He boosts past the Spinabadniks, but it seems his boost needs a tune-up as he's not fast enough to reach this closing door in time. Luckily, a pink spike ball appears and jams the door long enough for Sonic to slide through. Sonic comes face to face with a large spinner, only for it to freeze and break apart thanks to it being surrounded by a familiar aura. Yep, our favorite psychic hedgehog from the future makes his IDW debut. Sonic thanks Silver for holding the door open, only for Silver to reveal he entered from the other side. They witness a second large spinner that was sneaking up on them getting blasted apart. This leads to Silver, oh wow, that face. Anyway, this leads to him believing the Guardian Angel is here. Sonic has no idea who he's talking about on account of him being in prison for 6 months. Silver explains to him, and to us, about the Guardian Angel. Resistance units have reported a mysterious person who turned the tides of battle, but never joined the army. Silver admits the Guardian Angel has bailed him out a few times as well. Sonic asking Silver about getting the Guardian's autograph leads to this next revelation. After the war, Silver traveled back to the future, only to find instead of a bad future controlled by the Eggman Empire, it's a bad future with no life period. Jeez, can this guy ever get a good future? But then again, if he does, he may never show up again, which may please some people. Anyway, he's back in the past to find out what happened this time. They hear a noise and soon find the Guardian Angel trying to break down the door with a special Wispin, one that utilizes multiple powers. Silver gleefully heads over to the Guardian Angel, only for her to float away, confusing Silver. Sonic explains since she never joined the Resistance, she prefers to work solo. That's a pretty smart observation there. Then again, who better than Sonic to understand her behavior? With that said, Sonic in his typical fashion introduces himself and Silver to the Guardian Angel, and offers to help her. Hearing Sonic's name causes the Wisp accompanying her to pop out and happily greet him. As Sonic puts it, saving their home planet from Eggman leaves quite an impression, and unlike the rough and tumble incident, he didn't plan this. But this action does allow the Guardian Angel to greet them with her name, Whisper, said in a whisper of course. Silver forces the door open and we see the secret prize inside, an E-series robot surrounded by multiple Spinabadniks. According to the roll call at the beginning of this issue, this is E-107 Theta, which looks like a beefed up E-105 Zeta. Naturally, a fight breaks out. Sonic and Silver do their thing while Whisper finds a vantage point to use her Wispin. Sonic points out they need to deal with the Spinas before taking on Theta. Silver then grabs Sonic with his powers and uses him as a projectile against the Badniks. Well, at least it's better than this.
It's no use! Take that!
Whisper shoots Theta, only for Theta to fire back, leaving her in a difficult position, though it is sweet for the Wisp to pop out in her defense. Silver comes to her rescue and Sonic finishes Theta off. Afterwards, Silver reassures Whisper it's okay to work alone, but points out she kinda has a team and asks if he can be part of it. Whisper considers this, and cue the shippers. Anywho, for defeating Theta, they find a computer. A big deal to Sonic and Silver as they needed to discover Neo Metal's plan. Whoa, a little harsh on the language there, Silver. I know what you found justifies it, but I don't see Sonic or the others use harsh words.
Damn, they got away!
Damn, we've been detected. You're going straight to hell.
Point taken. Over at Resistance HQ, Knuckles senses a great disturbance, as if the Master Emerald was crying out in terror before suddenly captured. They get a call from Sonic and Silver, telling them they found out Neo Metal's plan and to gather everyone immediately. Cut to Neo Metal Sonic making itself at home, placing a throne right on top of the Master Emerald. The issue ends with the sight of the conquered Angel Island, complete with Eggman statue. Again, to emphasize Neo Metal's loyalty to the Doctor. I see some familiar sights. I see Mushroom Hill, Sandopolis. I wonder what other familiar landmarks I can see here. There are some similarities between this issue and issue 4. Sonic reunites with a powerful game character from another world, they meet a new character for the first time, the three team up to take care of a large group of badniks, and the powerful character and the new character consider teaming up. I don't believe I need to go too much into the differences, at least with regards to the game characters. I will say, Silver's an absolute dork. In a good way. The way he talks about Whisper, it's clear he's a fan, and the way he acts when finally meeting her, it's the way a lot of people react when meeting their heroes. Keep in mind, this is a guy from the future with superpowers, though his admiration was justified. Now for Whisper herself. The character was revealed at the recent San Diego Comic-Con and designed by this issue's artist, Evan Stanley, and I love it. She's a wolf with a black cloak and a special mask scope allowing accurate targeting for her special wisp spin. In fact, the mask, and possibly the cloak, were inspired by avatar costume options from Sonic Forces. Her special wisp spin allows her to switch between wisp powers for various purposes. She keeps the unused wisps in containers in her cloak. In a nice touch, the light on her mask switches colors depending on what power she has equipped. Like Tangle, I wouldn't mind using a character like her in a Sonic game, sneaking around and using the variable wisp spin in creative ways. Before you say, what about the Avatar character? I said, sneaking around. The Avatar doesn't do much sneaking. A character like Whisper in a Sonic game might not work for everyone, but if utilized correctly, there could be some enjoyment with her playstyle. Whisper in some ways is a foil to a couple of characters. First, to the previously introduced original character Tangle. Both help out the two game heroes, but while Tangle is loud, outgoing, and using a body part as a weapon, Whisper is quiet, prefers to stick to the shadows, and uses her wisp spin. She could also be a foil to Silver, both of them supposed loners. In Silver's case, he's been alone in the future, as far as we know, and no, that does not count, but enjoys working with people, especially when traveling to the past. Whisper prefers to work alone. Ironically, instead of being a lone wolf, she's actually the leader of a pack. I'm curious to find out a little more about Whisper. Her behavior and the way she talks indicates to me she has a story to tell, and the way she reacts to finding the computer, wanting to smash it on sight, leads to even Sonic believing Eggman did something to her. It's also the only time her eyes completely open. Structurally, this issue feels more like a game level in comic form. You could argue issues 1, 2, 4, or possibly 7 fit this criteria, but here's why I think it's more appropriate here. We have Sonic boosting through the level and some badniks. We then get a cutscene of Sonic meeting up with some characters, which then leads to a boss fight and the aftermath cutscene. And if I don't talk about this now, someone else will. E107 Theta. For those who read the Archie Sonic comics, especially the reboot era, Ian created new E-series robots for our heroes to fight, and it looks like the tradition continues in this comic series. Something to know about Theta is, based on speculation and from what I've read, it was was not used in the Archie reboot due to legal mumbo jumbo. Theta was mentioned in a story of pre-reboot Archie. While Ian did write it, it was based on material from another writer, and thus off limits, which is why in the reboot it skipped from E106 Eta to E108 Iota. I'm guessing because it's a new comic under a new company, Ian can finally use E107 Theta, and I doubt he can recycle E-series units from the Archie series. He'll probably have to create new ones if needed. To wrap things up, issue 8 carries on the tradition of debuting game characters to the book and expanding the world by introducing a fascinating new character, and it sets things up for the next direction. Evan's art does the job of showing action and character reactions, as well as some background details like hinting at familiar locations on Angel Island. Speaking of which, that's where our heroes are going in the next issue, kicking off the Battle for Angel Island storyline. See ya then! We return to the world of IDW Sonic. Today we take a look at issue 9 and the beginning of a new story arc, the Battle for Angel Island. This event has been building up for the past 8 issues, and now we're about to see the payoff. Here's what you need to know so far, and of course, spoilers from this point forward. The past 8 issues had Sonic traveling to various towns and saving them from reorganizing badniks, often teaming up with a game character, mainly to reveal, yeah, they're here. Plus there was the introduction of new comic exclusive characters. During his travels, Sonic learned what happened to his arch nemesis, Dr. Eggman. After their last battle, he got a case of amnesia and is currently a handyman named Mr. Tinker. There is an implication that he's slowly regaining his memories, or he never lost them in the first place and is taking advantage of a village for his own plans. Regardless, he's out of the picture for now. Instead, our true villain for the moment is Metal Sonic, upgraded back to Neo Metal mode by Eggman to be used as a trump card in the previously mentioned last battle, but it was too late. Now Neo Metal's running the Empire while looking for Eggman. The Doctor made sure it would remain loyal to him, unlike in Sonic Heroes. Neo Metal's current plan is conquering Angel Island. It learned it was vulnerable while spying on Sonic and Knuckles in issue 3. Eventually, our heroes learned of the conquest and begin planning their next move. We start with Neo Metal Sonic sitting on its makeshift Master Emerald throne, monologuing that it has used the Egg Fleet to conquer the island and secure the Master Emerald. It's paying the heroes to come because they have something that'll complete its ascension. Oh dear. Speaking of the heroes, we move on to Resistance HQ where everyone is gathered. And by everyone, I mean Sonic and every friend and ally he's encountered in the past 8 issues. Amy lays out the plan. The group will split off into 3 teams with 2 of them attacking and breaking the Egg Fleet's hold on the island. The Egg Fleet has more or less been converted into a pair of wings for Angel Island, while the third team focuses on the Eggman statue area, which is actually the structure where Neo Metal Sonic and the Master Emerald are located. Knuckles naturally wants to be on Team 3. Blaze offers a direct approach. Have her confront Neo Metal Sonic as Burning Blaze. Yep, she brought the Soul Emeralds. Actually, it's how she came to Sonic's world in the first place. Tails doesn't think it's a good idea. Not because the Master Emerald can cancel out the Soul Emeralds. In fact, Knuckles states it cannot affect them, probably due to them being from another dimension. The problem Tails points out is, Neo Metal might copy Blaze's bio data, which I think we could all agree would be very, very bad. With that settled, the group boards an airship bound for Angel Island. En route, Sonic checks up on Whisper before moving on to the bridge. Shadow, Rouge, Amy, and Blaze are also in the room, and Whisper is eyeing Shadow. Amy and Blaze commenting on Whisper allows Amy to point out how far Blaze has come since their first meeting. The events of Sonic Rush did happen in this continuity, and if you are familiar with the story of that game, then you'll understand Blaze's development. Elsewhere, we have Tangle, Silver, and the Chaotix playing cards, with Tangle using her tail to cheat, I might add. Knuckles is nearby and doesn't want to join in despite Vector's insistence. Yeah, Vector. Knuckles is understandably preoccupied. On the bridge, Tails lets Sonic know there are approaching Angel Island when the airship is suddenly bombarded with Egg Fleet fire. Time for the teams to deploy. I didn't reveal who's on what team. Team 1 consists of Burning Blaze, and no one else. Considering her actions against one of the Egg Fleet's wings, yeah, that's pretty justifiable. Team 3 is Sonic and Knuckles. They head out on airboards towards the Eggman statue structure. We'll catch up with them later. That means Team 2, by process of elimination, is everyone else. Tails sets their damaged airship to collide into the other Egg Fleet wing. Of course, everyone got out before the boom. Because Team 2 is large, Amy begins delegating tasks like Silver, smash things, and Tangle and Whisper defend Tails while he does smart stuff. And wouldn't you know it, Shadow went AWOL. Bottom line, Team 2's just winging it. Sonic and Knuckles, well, mainly Knuckles, break into the structure to confront Neo Metal Sonic. Given that everyone else is engaging the Egg Fleet and Burning Blaze will help the others once she finishes her section, this conflict should be over relatively soon. Sonic and Knuckles would have a hard time beating Neo Metal Sonic, especially since Neo Metal copied Sonic's bio data in issue 7. And there's the chance it could get Knuckles' bio data during the fight. But I think Shadow will appear to give our heroes the edge and help them win the day. Though there's something familiar about this. The upcoming battle involves Knuckles fighting to save Angel Island against a robotic version of Sonic that has taken control of the Master Emerald? Oh no. Yeah, the issue ends with the robotic doppelganger becoming Super Neo Metal Sonic. Things just got complicated. We're now seeing the payoff I briefly mentioned in the intro section. Many of the plot threads that we've seen since the first issue, and many of the characters Sonic and the reader encountered, were building up to this arc. In a way, it was good it was done in this manner. With all the setup done in 8 issues, we can jump into the action with issue 9. At the same time, the issue can serve as a jump-on point for Sonic fans who might not have heard of the comic, and they're out there, or fans who have heard of the comic but didn't want to check it out for a multitude of reasons. They would see a bunch of familiar characters taking on a familiar enemy using assets and settings they're familiar with. There are a couple of comic exclusive characters among the heroes' ranks, but we get a brief glimpse into their skills. Perhaps that would entice the new readers to check out the previous issues to see how it all comes together, especially now that the first 4 issues are out in graphic novel format. What might help draw people's interest are the covers. I know what some of you are thinking, no freaking duh, dude. Just hear me out. And for the record, I don't normally talk about covers in these reviews. Cover A, or the primary cover, has an image of Neo Metal Sonic blocking punches provided by Sonic and Knuckles, who are reflected on its face. Doesn't that pique your curiosity? Also, I wanted to talk about how this cover reminded me of Archie's Sonic Universe issue 50's cover, with Metal Sonic looking intimidating and a reflection of Sonic on the casing. I wonder if artist Lamar Wells took inspiration from that cover and applied it to cover A. Speaking of things drawn from other sources, the scenes with the Resistance members on the airship before reaching Angel Island. It reminds me of Worlds Unite. For those unaware, when Archie Comics had the Sonic and Megaman license, they had a couple of crossover events with those 2 franchises. Worlds Unite was the second one, and it featured scenes of characters interacting with each other leisurely before the big battle. It was also written by Ian Flynn if you want to know. Now come to think of it, there were similar plot beats to that story that were in this one. Heroes are on an airship flying towards a floating landmass controlled by a powerful robot. Said airship even gets destroyed. It isn't uncommon for writers to reuse plot beats, but at least in this issue, it isn't overcrowded with characters. Knuckles' behavior is 100% justified. He was tasked with guarding the Master Emerald and left that post to become Resistance leader. I didn't reveal this last time, but Knuckles hid the Emerald so he can leave the island to be the Resistance leader. But as you can see, it wasn't enough. I suspect when this arc is over, Knuckles will resume his guardian duties. Amy's strategic decisions can be summed up to, here's what we got available, let's wing it. I think it was done to prevent her being compared to another Sonic comic strategist. Whether it succeeded is up to the individual. If you count the events of Sonic Rush and Sonic Rush Adventure, sister, Blaze has come a long way. She's a responsible guardian of the Soul Emeralds and considers the others her friends, but she still has that pesky fear of heights. Whisper is an interesting case. I appreciate Sonic checking in on her, but there is this bit of her eyes opening up at Shadow. The only other time she did that was when she was about to smash an Eggman computer. Does this mean she had a bad experience with Shadow? Or perhaps a Phantom Ruby illusion of Shadow and she couldn't tell the difference due to her isolationist nature? Or is it something else entirely? Tangles shows she can use her tail for practical purposes, and her fangirling of Blaze increased during the Soul Emerald demonstration. Everyone else is there, except for Shadow. I wonder what that means. Super Neo Metal Sonic. Well, I figured since it was perched above the Master Emerald, something like this might happen. I've read somewhere that Ian and other parties were not fans of this form from Sonic Heroes, and I assume he's allowed by Sega to do this. The reason it can become super? Well, we've seen machines powered up by the Master Emerald before, but it may also have something to do with having Sonic's bio data. I'm just speculating at this point. The art for the most part is good, though as people have pointed out, there is an error right here. Unless Silver gained the power of body distortion. So far, we're off to a good start with this arc, and while the heroes seem to be winning, there is now Super Neo Metal Sonic to contend with. We'll see what it's capable of next month. Welcome everyone to my review of IDW Sonic issue 10 and part 2 of the battle for Angel Island. Before I recap what's happened last time, let me give out my obligatory spoilers from here on out phrase. Alright, let's do this. Our gathered group of heroes head over to free Angel Island from Neo Metal Sonic. The group divided into 3 teams. Team 1, consisting of Burning Blaze, and that's it, targets one of the wings attached to the island. Team 3 is Sonic and Knuckles going straight for Neo Metal Sonic. I've read somewhere, whether it's intentional or not, it's a shout out to a classic Genesis game. Think about it. Team 3 is Sonic and Knuckles. That's all I'll say about that. Team 2 is everyone else, except Shadow, who went AWOL. And they're handling the other wing. Sonic and Knuckles were ready to take on Neo Metal Sonic until Neo Metal uses the Master Emerald to become Super Neo Metal Sonic. Boy, that's a mouthful. Before I begin, I'm going to make it easier on myself by switching to the pronoun he instead of it when referring to Neo Metal Sonic. He was based on Sonic and has a male robotic voice. Plus, I'll also call him Super Neo while in this form, and I'll trust you'll assume I'm referring to the robot instead of Keanu Reeves' character from The Matrix, though some of you are probably thinking, what's the difference? Sonic and Knuckles try to come up with a viable strategy before Super Neo grabs their heads, drags them along the ground, headbutts them, and just for good measure, gives them a good zap. I'm thinking Super Neo is giving, in his words, his loathsome copy such intense pain. If it weren't for the fact they have Sega plot armor, Sonic and Knuckles would be in worse shape, though they still have major owies. Sonic's hoping everyone else is doing better. Compared to you two, they are doing a lot better. Team 2 slowly making some leeway, but it's not enough. As Tails puts it, they need to work smarter. He goes off to initiate a new plan while everyone else covers him. Burning Blaze unleashes a huge fire blast that successfully destroys her wing without harming the island, at the cost of her super form. Darn it. To be fair, she sensed her super form's time was almost up and had to act fast. That was a lot of intense action these past few pages. Let's take a quick breather. In this case, we catch up with our old pal Mr. Tinker, who's singing to the children as they ride rides in the newly completed Eggman land. Please note the song he's singing. It's yet another one from the games. A certain character's theme, in fact, only modified to be, how to put it, kid-friendly. Recognize it yet? Well, the good times come to an end when 2 visitors show up. The Skunk Brothers, Rough and Tumble, who somehow escaped the town from issue 3. They're here to kidnap Mr. Tinker on behalf of the Doc. Ominous. Heading back over to Angel Island, we soon see Tails' plan in action. Hijack one of the airships and use its firepower to blow the second wing off. Don't worry, everyone got on board safely, and provided nothing happens to it, the group just got a new ride home. Back over to the Super Neo fight, Sonic and Knuckles are looking a bit better, partially due to the Sega plot armor I mentioned earlier, and partly due to having another penciler draw them. I'll get to that in a bit. Super Neo says they're so pathetic he doesn't need to use his final final form to finish them off. Huh, interesting. That's when Shadow appears. I think we all saw this coming. He stabs Neo Metal with a Chaos Spear, bringing him out of his super mode. Then he wails on the robot until he lands back on the Master Emerald throne. Sonic warns Shadow about Neo Metal copying his biodata, and he has every right to be. You see, Shadow's biodata was the final piece Neo Metal needed to begin his ascension. So what's this form going to look like? Wait, that head design looks awfully familiar, and the structure is starting to come towards Neo Metal. The trio escape as the structure collapses and forms into this glowing sphere. Besides what's about to emerge from that sphere, there's another problem. According to Knuckles, Angel Island has been cut off from the Master Emerald, and it's going to fall into the ocean. You know, with all the times Angel Island has fallen into the water, you'd think Knuckles would be used to this by now. If Angel Island was over a continent, however, that's a different story. The real problem begins to emerge as the sphere begins to take shape, in a sequence that's probably reminiscent of the long transformation sequence in Sonic Heroes. And so we end with the ascended form of Neo Metal Sonic, not Metal Overlord, Master Overlord. The art continues to be good. I have to credit colorist Matt Herms and both pencilers for their work. Yeah, I should address this. The issue was penciled by Tracy Yardley up until the part where the Resistance destroyed the second wing with the hijacked airship. From this page onward, Evan Stanley took over. These things happen, especially back in the Archie Sonic comics. A penciler would work on part of an issue, only for another to take over. The reasons vary. It could be that the artist fell behind, was having health issues, and so on and so forth. I'm used to artist switch up in Sonic comics, again because I've read the Archie series for years, but I thought I would explain this to those new to Sonic comics in general. Gotta maintain that deadline after all. Let's briefly talk about the one page featuring Rough and Tumble kidnapping Mr. Tinker on behalf of the Doc. Not only does this set up the next arc, thanks to the, at the time of this upload, recent solicitation release, it introduces another mystery. Who is this Doc the Skunk Brothers are working for? Over to the main plot, our heroes have made progress. Kudos to Tails for using the enemy's own firepower against them. Amy did order Tails to do smart stuff, and it got results. Burning Blaze also produces results, but lost her super form in the process. Too bad though, as it could have helped against this thing. This arc continues its Sonic Heroes callback with Neo Metal Sonic transforming into a giant blue dragon thing. This time requiring only Sonic's biodata, Shadow's biodata, and the Master Emerald, plus the surrounding structure. I admit, upon seeing this form for the first time, I was like, you're really doing this again? I thought you didn't like this form. And for the record, I like the Super Neo form better. When reading this more thoroughly in preparation for this review, I was looking closely at the differences between Master Overlord and the original Metal Overlord. Metal Overlord required biodata from 12 heroes, 2 Chow, Chaos via Froggy, and parts from an airship, resulting in this admittedly clunky looking monstrosity with a spiked back, one hand being a flamethrower, and having several cables dangling from the bottom due to growing wings and detaching from the airship. Master Overlord looks sleeker, has a lot more blades, both hands this time, and the Master Emerald's embedded in the lower half. It probably helps that the structure he used is apparently made of liquid metal. As to why it looks similar to Metal Overlord when all he needed was Sonic's biodata, Shadow's biodata, and the Master Emerald, either Eggman uploaded some Chaos biodata ahead of time, or since Sonic Adventure happened in this continuity, Neo Metal could have gotten the Chaos biodata from the Master Emerald, since the water creature was imprisoned in there for a time. Or it's probably some other thing I'm not thinking of. I know some people will not like this form, however, I will reserve final judgment on Master Overlord until the end of this story arc, though I do admit a transformation like this is usually reserved for the end of the arc's third issue. Overall, this issue, while enjoyable, can drag a bit at times, probably because it needs to fill out the required 4 issues per trade requirement. Next time, everyone's fighting Master Overlord, while also facing a ticking clock. Remember, Angel Island will fall into the ocean without the aid of the Master Emerald once again. I know the heroes will pull through eventually, but I am curious to see how they will do it. Burning Blaze is out of commission, and the heroes have no Chaos Emeralds. Not that they would help if Master Overlord cancels the effects with the Master Emerald. We'll have to wait until issue 11 to see what they'll pull off. Greetings everyone, welcome to part 3 of the battle for Angel Island. At the end of last issue, the conflict has escalated. Oh, I almost forgot. Spoilers from here on out. Okay, we got that out of the way. Our gathered heroes divided into 3 teams to break up the Egg Fleet's hold on Angel Island and take down Neo Metal Sonic. Team 1, consisting of Burning Blaze, destroyed one of the Egg Fleet wings at the cost of her super form. Team 2, which is everyone except Sonic, Knuckles, and Shadow, took care of the other wing by blasting it with a hijacked airship. Team 3, Sonic and Knuckles, went straight for Neo Metal Sonic and the Master Emerald, only for Neo Metal to become super and wipe the floor with them, until Shadow arrived and took care of the machine. That was a mistake, as Shadow's DNA was the final piece Neo Metal needed to transform into Master Overlord, with the unfortunate side effect of Angel Island falling out of the sky. Also, Rough and Tumble kidnapped Mr. Tinker on behalf of someone called the Doc. Time to see how things play out. Blaze rendezvous with everyone on the stolen airship as they see Angel Island falling. On said island, Knuckles contacts Amy, allowing the 2 groups to catch up on the situation. It's amazing Knuckles' comm unit is intact after all that pounding. Goes to show the echidna's thick-headedness. Master Overlord grabs the trio and flies towards the airship. He's doing the old, "you'll watch me kill your friends and see your home destroyed before I kill you" bit. Sonic comes up with a plan on the spot. Sonic, Shadow, and everyone on the airship will distract Master Overlord while Knuckles rips out the Master Emerald and return it to the island. Knuckles passes the plan on to Amy. He wants them to focus on the wings so Master Overlord can fall closer to the island. Master Overlord is making things difficult for the reinforcements to join them. Sonic's solution? Taunt the monster. Yeah, he would do that. Specifically, he brings up that loathsome copy thing Metal Sonic keeps spewing out. As Sonic points out, hedgehogs aren't made of metal, and cannot transform into things like giant dragons, like that pink hedgehog with the hammer arriving with the others. And so the final battle begins. Sonic goes for the head, the Resistance members target the wings, and Knuckles is digging around the Master Emerald area. Master Overlord has had enough and shakes almost everyone off. Time for another non-metal, non-transforming hedgehog to step up, though holding all of them in the air is pushing his power to the limit. Plus there's that metal dragon coming straight for him. Luckily, Tails once again uses an airship to ram into his target. I said earlier that Master Overlord threw almost everyone off. That's because Knuckles got inside Master Overlord. He successfully pushes the Master Emerald out and guides it back towards the altar. Just in time too, because the island is about to crash into the water. I've said this before, but it would have been more dramatic if it was over solid land instead of water. Maybe the island's structural integrity reached the point where it'll break apart if it crashed into the water one more time, or something like that. Anyway, all's well that ends well. Everyone's safely on the island, Metal Sonic's back to normal and offline. The team is patting each other on the back, except for Shadow, who goes off to do whatever. But more importantly, Knuckles is back where he belongs. Things are looking great. Nothing could possibly ruin my mood now. Alright, this. Rough and Tumble bring Mr. Tinker to what looks like an Eggman lab of some type. Kinda looks like Final Egg, doesn't it? It's here that we meet their employer, a new original character. Meet Dr. Starline. His goal is to change Mr. Tinker back into Dr. Eggman against Tinker's wishes. By the looks of that machine, it's not gonna be pretty. Oh wow. I have no words at the moment. The issue ends with the first round of procedures complete, and Dr. Starline wondering if Dr. Eggman's re-emerging. Your eyes are not deceiving you, everyone. We have just witnessed the final battle for Angel Island. Overall, it's okay. Let's focus on the positives first. There is no last-minute Deus Ex Machina featuring the Master Emerald. We see everyone use what they have against Master Overlord, except for Shadow. Sorry, fans of the character. Maybe that's why he left at the end. He's going to have a word with his manager about the lack of screen time. And Knuckles being the one to save the day makes sense given the situation. All of this from Sonic's improvised plan. Good job. Unfortunately, this highlights the fact that Master Overlord was kind of underwhelming. Don't get me wrong, I like his design, but to compare it to the clunkier Metal Overlord, the latter, in my opinion, was definitely stronger, due to needing Super Sonic and a bubbled Tails and Knuckles to defeat it. You might say, but Master Overlord had the Master Emerald. True, but he didn't utilize it more. In fact, it created a vital weak point that Knuckles exploited. You would think such an area would have better defenses, like a shield or electricity or something to that effect. Heck, go all out and transform into a golden form again or something. I think Master Overlord was overconfident enough in his abilities not to worry about such trivial things. And that kind of arrogance cost the machine at the end. Speaking of endings, we're seeing how Mr. Tinker will change back into Eggman. I know we need our main villain back, but not like this. I thought the memories would recover gradually in the village while he continued building things. Instead, it's a case of mind-screwing torture, thanks to our new character, Dr. Starline. What makes this a bit uncomfortable is Mr. Tinker begs not to be put through this, more or less confirming that the Tinker personality is legit. It kind of makes me feel sorry for him. As for Dr. Starline, first, it's been confirmed that he is a platypus, and second, I doubt he's working for Eggman, which is good because we need more independent villains in the book, but obviously he needs Eggman for something. I'm also getting Dr. Finitivis vibes from this guy, Finitivis being a creepy albino echidna scientist from the Archie comics who has chaos powers. I doubt Starline has any power, but I am getting a creepy vibe from him. Still want to punch the guy in the Duckville face for what he's doing to Mr. Tinker though. Like the last issue, Tracy and Evan both worked on the art. It works for the most part, however, some of their angles are a bit odd. It makes the characters look off-model in some cases. I'm sure other people will point out other examples in other issues, but to me, it's really noticeable here. To wrap this up, this is a fine issue that ends the titular arc while introducing new elements for future issues. It also continues bucking the old 4-issue story arc trend I've been seeing in this series lately. The first time being the Fates of Dr. Eggman arc. Based on the caption at the end, I'm thinking we're seeing some aftermath of the battle. Will said aftermath involve our heroes getting off the island? Will Knuckles stay and resume his guardianship of the Master Emerald? And finally, will Tango ever calm down? We'll hopefully see these answers and more in issue 12. See you then. Greetings and welcome to my review of IDW Sonic the Hedgehog issue 12. It's been a while since we tackled the main series. That's because there's been a number of delays caused by either IDW or the distributor. But at last, here it is. The conclusion, or rather the epilogue to the Battle for Angel Island arc. Spoilers from here on out, by the way. Yeah, the final battle happened last issue. Everyone versus Master Overlord. A new form Neo Metal Sonic took after absorbing Sonic's DNA, Shadow's DNA, and the Master Emerald itself. This form had an obvious weakness, which Knuckles exploited. While everyone distracted Master Overlord, Knuckles freed the Master Emerald, simultaneously robbing the giant robot of his power and saving Angel Island from falling into the ocean. Again. Once again, the real superpower of teamwork wins the day. Meanwhile, Mr. Tinker, aka Dr. Eggman with amnesia, was taken to one of his old bases, Final Egg, now under the control of the mysterious and creepy Dr. Starline. He wants to restore Eggman for reasons we don't know yet, and he does this via mind-screw torture. Yeah. Let's go on and start today's issue. We begin with Sonic and Tails in a lab with Metal Sonic hanging there in chains. To jump ahead a bit for clarity, our heroes are still on Angel Island, and Tails is making repairs to the hijacked airship due to him using it as a battering ram last issue. So I assume this lab is inside said airship. Tails finishes the necessary repairs and reactivates Metal Sonic on Sonic's insistence. Despite the mechanical doppelganger wanting to attack Sonic on sight, Tails thankfully only took care of the worst damage. He's in no shape to fight. Sonic will let him go so he can live his his life as he sees fit, even offering a hand in friendship, to which Metal Sonic refuses before taking off. Well, he did lose a major campaign. If only he protected the Master Emerald area like I suggested last issue. Some of you are wondering, why are they letting Metal Sonic go instead of dismantling him or something? First of all, he's a game character, so they're not going to kill him off. They're not going to do what Archie Comics did for a time, blow up a Metal Sonic only to have Eggman build a new one later. Second, everyone thinks Dr. Eggman is no longer a threat thanks to becoming the kind Mr. Tinker in a remote village, thus unable to restore Metal Sonic completely. What our heroes don't know is Mr. Tinker was kidnapped, and Dr. Starline here has been trying to restore the Eggman persona via mind screw torture, which hasn't seemed to work as Mr. Tinker went through the process 3 times now with little results. Starline thinks something must trigger his real memories, but so far, nada. Not even the side of Orbot and Cubot does anything, not that they seem to mind. We also learn that Starline was indeed responsible for breaking Rough and Tumble out of the village from issue 3. We'll learn how soon, and the only reason they're helping Starline is so Eggman can provide them with new weapons to have revenge against Sonic. All of this is interrupted when someone else joins the party, Metal Sonic. Uh-oh. And I mean it, because as soon as Mr. Tinker looks over the robot hoping to fix him, that sets off the trigger moment. After a couple of flashes of Eggman with Metal Sonic, including this oddly touching one here, the Doctor returns. Right away, Dr. Starline introduces himself and starts sucking up to Eggman so he can get on his good graces. As the two repair Metal Sonic, Starline explains how Eggman wound up in the remote mountain village with no memory, and how he and his associates Rough and Tumble got him out. Yeah, Eggman's not impressed with their meme poses here. Still, he's going to take a chance with these two since they all hate Sonic. As Eggman changes back into his iconic outfit, Starline explains he's restored Eggman to normal thanks to neural stimulants and hypnotherapy, aka the mind screw torture. And we get an explanation on what that thing is on the left hand, the Warp Topaz, a gem that, in his own words, can warp space to create gateways to other places, as long as it has a power source. Eggman, given his previous experience with the Phantom Ruby, declines studying it further. Starline does, however, provide Eggman with 7 familiar gems, securing Eggman's good graces. Back on Angel Island, Sonic's zipping around to see how everyone's doing while Tails is repairing the airship. Knuckles is going to resume his duties as guardian of the Master Emerald, and disbands the Resistance. Amy is taking inventory for the reconstruction efforts until she's informed of the Resistance ending. To further rain on Amy's parade, the Chaotix stop by for their payment. Sonic leaves Amy to foot the bill in order to check in on the comic exclusive characters. After all this excitement, Tangle does not want to go back to her normal life. As for Whisper, she still needs time to adjust to hanging around people, something Sonic recognizes. Blaze plans to return to her dimension, believing her task is done. Silver is sticking around, thinking that the bad future he saw may still happen. Smart move. Rouge is chilling on top of the airship. Her plans involve a vacation and eyeing the Master Emerald. Some things never change. She also confirms that Shadow is gone, never to look back again. I see what you did there, comic. Tails finishes the necessary repairs, and the airship takes off, with Knuckles watching from the shrine. This has to be a nod to the ending of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It's too much of a coincidence not to be. Back over to the villains. The Sonic and Shadow biodata Metal Sonic acquired got corrupted, convenient, and Eggman's moving on to a new plan. Or as he says right here,
Time for a change of pace!
the new plan will take time to get started, so he puts Starline in charge of distracting Sonic until it's ready. He passes by Rough and Tumble, and after making sure the two understand what they're getting, he pulls up these plans. Something that will announce to the world Eggman's back. Something that sorta reminds me of the Guardians from Breath of the Wild. Yeah, the world's doomed. The issue feels like it's not only wrapping up the events of this past arc, but for year 1 as a whole. I'll get into the latter more later. While Metal Sonic's invasion failed, he did succeed in one of his goals. In a way. Locating Dr. Eggman. I'm sure something may have caused Eggman to regain his memories sooner or later, but it was the memories of the Doctor treating Metal Sonic in the past that brought him back. This Metal Sonic is lucky he did not end up like his Mania counterpart, abandoned by his Eggman for failing him. Though admittedly the resolution was kinda heartwarming. Hey, wait a minute, didn't both plots feature Metal Sonic getting powered up by a stolen Master Emerald? And wasn't it Knuckles that delivered the coup de grace in both cases? I know coincidences can't happen, but wow. As for Sonic letting Metal Sonic go in the first place, I will buy that the heroes don't know Mr. Tinker was kidnapped and mind screwed, and I'm also on board for heroes trying to redeem the villains. But sometimes that kind of thinking may have unintended consequences, as we've seen. But did Sonic even consider the possibility of Metal Sonic, even in his weakened state, could go off somewhere and do something villainous like kick puppies, all to spite Sonic? Back over to Eggman. Yeah, we know he had to come back at some point, main villain and all, but sad to see the Mr. Tinker personality disappear. All good things have to come to an end, I suppose. Dr. Starline. He didn't go through all this so he can become Eggman's newest lackey. He's up to something, I'm sure of it. Playing the long game, sucking up to Eggman until the opportune moment. At least I hope that's the case. Speaking of which, did he really get all the Chaos Emeralds? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Which brings us to the Warp Topaz. That gem on his left hand might explain how every villain gathered at Final Egg. My theory is Metal Sonic was using Final Egg as his base of operations, and Starline was observing him from the shadows. Again, thanks to the Warp Topaz. Starline brings Eggman to this base while Metal Sonic took the Egg Fleet to Angel Island, and when Metal Sonic retreated, he returned to his base to find Eggman and 3 strangers hanging about. 2 of them, Rough and Tumble, are out for revenge after Sonic humiliated them with that stunt back in issue 3. No mention of Knuckles though. I mean, he was there. I guess he wasn't important enough. Speaking of, we're definitely seeing some things return to what they were pre-Forces, such as Knuckles resuming his duties as Guardian of the Master Emerald. The fate of the Resistance is unknown, but if it does continue, more than likely Amy will be the leader. She was basically the real brains of the operation anyway. The Sonic checking in on everyone shows the Hedgehog does care for his friends. Though admittedly, leaving Amy at the mercy of the Chaotix was a jerk move. Still, it was nice to see this cool down period before the characters go their separate ways. It doesn't feel rushed, it doesn't drag on. We see what we needed to see and no more. Overall, the issue does its job concluding things from year 1 while setting things up for year 2. Eggman's back in business and has some new plan involving whatever this is. Dr. Starline and Rough and Tumble will be going after the Hedgehog based on future issue solicitations. Evan and Tracy provide great art as always, and there's even a short interview with the former on how she designed Whisper and Starline in this very issue, if you're curious. When we next look at IDW Sonic, we will begin year 2 with an extra length issue. Although, before that, I think I'll take a look back at year 1 as a whole. Be on the lookout for that sometime soon, I hope. Until then, see ya!